Well, you have to start somewhere.
Adding figures to your models is a great way to bring them to life, as well as convey scale and afford you the opportunity to create a story in miniature. But for a lot of new modelers, figure painting can be intimidating, to say the least. Now, if this sounds like you have come to the right place. I'm going to show you a few easy techniques to get you started and give you some confidence with painting your own figures. My victim today is from the 1999 release of the Tamiya wagon. He's been assembled and glued to a piece of styrene and then pinned into a piece of cork for ease of handling. Usually I just insert a pin in the underside of a figure's foot and then stick it into the cork, but this one had the styrene base already, so I just worked with that. It's important to prepare your figures by removing any seams resulting from the moulding process. I'm using the edge of a blade, however you may consider using a sanding stick or a fine file. I prime the model in a Mr. Surfacer 1200 straight from a rattle can. Short, sharp bursts keeping the figure moving at around 200mm away from the nozzle is all it takes. The primer prepares the plastic for paint, but it also highlights any additional cleanup or filling that may be required. When brush painting anything, the only viable option, or at least as I see it, is true acrylic paints. These are essentially water-based paints that dry fast and won't reactivate when layering them. They have little to no smell and clean up in water, so I would highly recommend acrylics for painting your figures. I also recommend you use a dedicated acrylic thinner rather than working with water to thin your paints. The thinner has an amount of alcohol present which breaks the surface tension of the paint, which is something that water won't give you. This allows for a cleaner and more even coverage of those paint layers. You'll see me mixing my paints in old beer bottle lids. They make for a great disposable paint palette and give me an excuse to constantly replenish the stocks of those bottle tops.
Cheers.
I'm going to start the process with a different style of acrylic paint here, and that is from the Quick Gen line from AK Interactive. These paints are highly translucent and will act like a wash or a tint over your figure. So I'm going to use them to map out the surfaces on the face in particular, and it will give these flesh tones that I'm going to apply afterwards a sense of warmth. Dark flesh and crimson are mixed about 2 parts flesh to 1 part crimson and thinned with the acrylic thinner until the paint becomes quite transparent. I then apply that tint over the skin parts, ensuring a good coverage. It's important to keep the paint moving and work methodically around the parts. However, don't succumb to the temptation to go over the same part multiple times. One even pass is enough. And you may notice that the grey primer that I painted is working with those washes to give me the base elements of my flesh tones. Working that wash over the face section, you can see it sitting evenly over the shapes and pooling in the recesses in the eye sockets and mouth, for example. I can control the amount of paint by allowing the brush to wick some of it away, but this effect is exactly what we're looking for. It's just about making sure I'm not over applying that paint. I'm now leaving the flesh elements to dry, but can use that time to block in the colours on the uniform. Here I'm now working with a traditional style of acrylic paint, and that is from the Gen 3 line from AK Interactive. I appreciate the Gen 3 versus Quick Gen might get a little bit confusing, but the bottles and the look of the paint are completely different, so it is something that you will get used to pretty quickly. The shorts are painted in ochre khaki. Again, that acrylic thinner is used to thin the paint so it flows evenly over the part. The paint directly out of the bottle can often be quite thick and sticky. The thinner allows it to flow. Now, when blocking in your colours, don't expect a complete coverage with one pass. 2 to 3 passes, once the preceding layer has dried, is generally required and will give you the cleanest and most even finish. Dark sand is used for the shirt. Variation in uniform colours makes for a more interesting finish on your figures, and if you look at reference pictures, variation in the actual uniforms was completely normal, so don't be afraid to expand your palette and have some fun with this. And by that way of thinking, I use cork colour for the boots. Moving back to the flesh, and this is where the magic starts to happen. Dry brushing is regarded as a bit of an old-fashioned technique, but it's starting to make a comeback. In saying that, it is the easiest way for the beginner to cut their teeth in figure painting. A dry brushing brush has soft, voluminous bristles and will help you execute these next stages, so I recommend getting one for your setup. I'll leave a link down below, but most hobby shops should have these available. I'll be using basic skin and light flesh to create my flesh colours from here. Now I start with the darkest of those two tones, and I dab that dry brushing brush in the paint, and I proceed to get as much of that paint off the brush as I can by rubbing it against a paper towel. I can then brush the bristles against the flesh elements in a back and forth motion. What that is doing is transferring a tiny amount of the paint that's left on the bristles and catching any high edges or raised details, and that's starting to build up those flesh tones. By varying the pressure on the brush, I am able to control the amount of paint that is transferring to the model. The light flesh is covering the majority of these areas of skin, with the darker washed areas showing through in the recessed areas like under the neck and around the eyes and details like the ears. I can then move to the basic skin tone, which is the lighter of those two skin tones, and repeat this process, only this time looking to cover a smaller area. The easiest way to ensure you are not covering too much at this stage is to keep the pressure on the brush quite reserved. This lighter flesh tone should be catching things like the kneecaps and the top of the nose and the chin and maybe the top of the ears. It is working in harmony with the light flesh and the shadows that I created earlier to build up that flesh colour. I'll be coming back to the flesh shortly, but while that is drying off, I can move back to the uniform and I go back to the quick gen style of paints. Using dark flesh from the quick gen line again, I apply it as a wash and get some definition in the boots and the shorts, as well as the cap. As I mentioned, this quick gen paint is quite translucent by nature, but thinning it even further means the finish won't dominate the look of the paintwork, but it will help to add definition to the deepest shadowed areas. Hopefully you can see the way the thinner is allowing the paint to extend and evenly cover over the shapes in the sculpt. I'm able to use the brush to move and distribute that paint. These washes or tints will tend to dry a lot softer than they first appear, so have a little faith in this process. For the sandy colour shirt, I use desert sand from those wash colours. I am trying to choose shaded colours that will complement the base colour rather than dominate it. I then move back to the dark flesh from the quick gen line again and paint it in a targeted application to the mouth and to the eye recesses, as the flesh layers of acrylic that I applied in the last step have just shortened that contrast in those areas, and this wash will reintroduce depth in those sections. To further complement the details around the shirt, the dark flesh, while it was still in the palette, was painted around joins in the shirt and the shoulder boards and collar. I'm using a size 20 brush here, and again keeping the paint well thinned with the acrylic thinner will allow it to flow around that recessed detail. The dry brushing can tend to take the warmth out of the flesh tones, so the easiest way to warm them up again is to mix a drop of that human flesh quick gen paint with a couple of drops of matte varnish. This creates a tint or a glaze, and by painting it over the complete skin elements, it reintroduces a warmth to the finish. Hopefully that's coming through on the screen. That paint should have the consistency of weak tea, with no milk of course. It is tinting the flesh, it's not actually covering it. Home stretch now with this little bloke, and back to dry brushing, and I'm going to use the skin tone colour. This time though, I'm gently dry brushing the uppermost areas of the uniform and any of the protruding elements on the shorts and the boots. This has to be subtle, so assess your work often, because you can always add more, but it's very hard to go back from this. So how are we all going out there? Hopefully you're sticking with me. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below if you're going to give this a try for yourself. I'd love to hear how you guys go with some of these techniques. So now, if you're feeling brave, you could carefully paint in the silver buttons and the badge on the cap. Little pops of silver like this help break up the colours and add a lot to the finish. Those details are further enhanced with the dark flesh quick gen wash. Again, thin with acrylic thinner. This will tend to pool around the edges and give those sections some definition. I now want to share with you how I created a small display base for this one, and I'm going to show you a technique that I think most of you may never have even seen before. But before I do, a massive thank you to my Patreons. Over on that page, I'm sharing exclusive content all the time and upcoming builds, as well as chatting with people about their own modelling journey. So if improving your modelling is on your list of goals for this year, I can guarantee you joining in with us over on that page would be the best place to start making those goals become a reality. So be sure to check it out. I've left a link down below. But let's take a look at this base. I've had this small plaster base in a stash for longer than I can remember and set about planning my scene. I downloaded and printed a set of Sandbags from Faustus Models, which is the design arm of RT Diorama. I've left a link to the file down below, but suspect RT Diorama will be releasing the set for sale soon if you don't have access to a printer of your own. I'd also downloaded their set of accessories, as well as raided my spares box looking for details to complement this scene. The groundwork is created with a couple of small scoops of sandy desert terrains paste. This is a water-based paste and can be moved around the plaster base using a wet brush. Keeping that paste wet slows down the drying time and allows me to feather the finish and even out the ground. While the paste is still wet, I can seat the oil drum and the sandbags, as well as position the figure and a few other bits and pieces. And again, while that is still wet, I can sprinkle in some gravel and rocks over the surface to add some variation in the groundwork. The paste has a fairly uniform texture to it when it dries, so enhancing it like this is always a good idea. The sandbags are painted firstly in a couple of layers of cork, and then the old oil drum in a desert sand colour. This is a makeup sponge, the very one my long-suffering wife has been looking for the past week, but let's keep that between us for the moment. But this is a technique that I'd be surprised if a lot of you have seen, and one that literally anyone can use to great effect. Now, by lightly wetting the tip, just a quick dip in the water, and then loading the sponge with the light earth colour acrylic paint, I can then unload the bulk of that paint on the paper towel, and then after that can start stabbing it against the sandbags to start creating my highlighting over these parts. Just like with the dry brushing, the pressure I'm applying has a direct effect on the amount of paint that it's transferring onto the part. Because the sponge is so soft, it's allowing these highlight colours to blend with the darker tones, the darker base tones, and give me a natural looking graduation. I can even use that same colour to add variation and highlighting to the drum and the groundwork, always in a refined way and always assessing often. More sponge chipping, but this time I'm using a different type of sponge to create some chipping to the old oil drum. By picking away at the corner of an old sponge to create a haggard, irregular looking sponge, I can dip that in the paint, and again I unload the excess on a bit of paper towel, and then I can carefully dab it against the oil drum to create chipping. Like with everything I've shown you here today, the pressure I'm applying has a huge bearing on the effect it's leaving behind. So dab lightly and assess often. It is a really quick and easy way to create chipping effects over your models. It's all about the details now, and I move back to the Dark Flesh Quick Gen paint. You can see this is a really handy paint to have in the stash, and I thin it down and I apply it around the top of the drum and around the ridges on the sides. I'm using it to simulate oil or fuel staining around the cap and to add some contrast over the part. I'm also able to use that wash around the sandbags and the ground. Now it's important to be selective though, just slapping it all over the sandbags would soften all those highlights, which is something I'm trying to avoid. This step should be about enhancing the detail in the seams and for the ground around like larger rocks and more heavily textured areas. The makeup sponge comes in handy to build up grey tones on a jerry can, which when dry I can brush paint the white stripes to symbolise it was containing water. It should be an interesting variation of colour and detail on that small base. All of the elements could be held in place with a small touch of superglue, and an organic nature can be added to the scene with some small clippings of seafoam. That prickly cactus-like nature is just about perfect for a small North African scene like this, and after drilling a small placement hole, the offcuts can be set in place with that superglue again. The base is then carefully painted in the world's blackest paint, or at least that's what the marketing blurb told me, and little mate could then be glued to the terrain. To blend everything together, I go back to the terrains paste and apply it around his feet and around the base of the drum and the sandbags, assessing any areas that looked unnatural. Watering that paste down and feathering it with a soft brush is all that's required to blend it in and around the bits and pieces, and it adds a lovely, soft, dusty look to the soldier's boots. And a few final touch-ups and I could call this one complete. For the beginner figure painter, it can be so confusing and it can be so frustrating, especially looking online for guidance and getting information overload with things like zenithal lighting and airbrushes or glazes and oil paints. I hear you, and I've been there myself, so I've made this video just for you. The results you see on screen were done with literally a handful of paints and a few basic techniques that are truly accessible to everyone, no matter where you are in your figure painting journey. These techniques should be viewed as a stepping stone and the initial step in your figure painting journey. Figure painting is a skill that takes decades to master and requires a completely unique set of skills. But we need to walk before we can run, and there is no better time to start than now. Dry brushing and washes probably aren't going to win you any figure painting competitions, but it will allow you to start integrating figures with your models, and for most of us, that is all we are hoping for. That opportunity to add life and scale to the kits we are building. Now, if you've made it all this way, please be sure to hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed. It helps me immensely, and it ensures you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. Remember guys, this is the greatest hobby in the world. Share it with your family and share it with your friends, and let's be proud of what we do. Until next time, I'll see you soon.
Paint must paint.